Horizon Chess, almost a reaction. This is Why Did China Invade India in 1962? Short animated documentary, 3.5 minute documentary apparently. Why China history matters. Since the Second World War, major land wars have been pretty rare. One notable exception is the 1962 Sino-Indian War, which saw China annex lands from the north of India. But why did this happen? Why didn't anyone else get involved? And what effects did this conflict have? To find out. Was this okay? I don't know much about this war, even though I should, but I don't know much about this war. 1962. So I guess this is the time where the Cold War was it kind of at its peak somewhat, right? 1960s. So why didn't anyone else get involved? That could be the reason. But let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reaction, do follow, like, and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Comment if you want to react to any specific video, like any history videos. Yeah.
After World War II, conflict between major nations became much rarer. Yet in 1962, a large-scale land war broke out between the People's Republic of China and the Republic of India over these lands. And after the war, this bit was taken from India and became a part of China. But given how things were at the time with the Cold War and how unsure the outcome was, why did China invade India? So, as of the 1960s, the Indian-Chinese border looked like this and was the result of careful consideration between the two.
What?
60s, the Indian-Chinese border looked like.
Okay, seriously. Why is this bit here not part of India? It's part of India. This bit has never been part of Pakistan. This whole thing like a mouth shape is state of Gujarat, right? Which came to be, I guess, just 2 years ago, when this supposed to be 1960, right? So this is Gujarat, right? This portion is not part of Pakistan.
Like this, and was the result of careful consideration between the two peoples, and of course it wasn't. The border had been drafted by Britain in the early 20th century in an agreement with Tibetan China. And by agreement, I mean diktat, in which Britain declared the border between India and China to be this, and that Tibet was now a Chinese puppet state. The Chinese refused to accept this, mostly because they hadn't been invited to the conference, but the British didn't care and considered it to be a done deal. Now, India gained its independence in 1947, and along with its freedom, it also gained a territorial dispute. One which was made worse when China annexed Tibet in 1951, and since it was one of India's most important trading partners, it soured relations. Tensions rose until 1954, when India and China came to an agreement in which they agreed to respect each other's territorial integrity and increase trade. This was up until 1960, when Tibet was host to a failed uprising, and the crackdown afterwards damaged India's ties in the region. The Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, was critical of China's response and gave shelter to those fleeing the region. This angered the Chinese government, and its foreign minister Zhou Enlai pushed for a military response.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense. Tibet being India's trading partner, and then this happening. This kind of explains all the territorial disputes even today happening, right? China being a bit salty, right? All around.
Wants to do two things. One, take this territory, which was populated largely by Indians of Chinese descent, and two, dissuade India from supporting any Tibetan rebels in the future. As such, spies were sent into northern India to lay the groundwork for an invasion, and the Chinese built up infrastructure in the border regions and started to move soldiers there. The Indians, fearing an escalation, created the forward policy, which would build up their border defences and make India's claim to the land indisputable. They also approached the Western powers for advanced weapons to defend themselves, a request that the West denied because India was seen as being too soft on communism. As such, the New Delhi government...
Really? Too soft on communism? Really? I mean, I don't want to get into much, politics there, right? But only reason India went to the, communist Russia's hands is because US decided not to help, because US thought that China and Pakistan, all that were more strategically better than India fight against Russia, so they just left them to dry. That's what led India in Russia's arm. You can't be salty after that, like you're too soft on the communism. Come on.
Turned to the Soviet Union, who, having fallen out with China, was happy to make an ally and damage a former friend. In October 1962, after small-scale clashes between Indian and Chinese forces, 40,000 Chinese soldiers crossed into India here, which itself only had several thousand soldiers in the region. The Chinese leadership wanted a quick war because their military was both unsure as to how well India was prepared and also believed that they couldn't win a war of attrition. And launching an attack in October was useful too, since soon after the fighting began, the United States and the Soviet Union were too busy with a certain Cuban Missile Crisis to do anything about it. At first, China performed well and pushed into the area with ease, and Zhou Enlai pushed for peace negotiations, which Nehru rejected. And a month after Chinese forces had crossed into India, they had reached the edge of China's claim to territory, and so they declared a ceasefire, meaning that the war was effectively over. Because China didn't want to push its luck, and India wasn't in a position to respond. So, in the end, this war had many long-term effects. The loss pushed India to modernise its military and begin the development of nuclear weapons, and the snub by the West pushed it closer to the USSR. Military and begin the development of nuclear.
This is, oh, that's Gandhi with nuclear weapon. Look at the smile on his face. Yeah, if someone slaps your, one cheek, put your other cheek in front or whatever, however that goes, right? That man is like, yeah, look at the nuclear weapons, just carrying the, the nuke with him. This is so good, man. I like this. I think I'm pretty sure I've reacted to 1 or 2 videos from this channel in past. I can't remember exactly what. It's probably buried under many videos I've done since then. But yeah.
Nuclear weapons, and the snub by the West pushed it closer to the USSR. And Pakistan.
Yeah, there you go. See, there you go. I mean, where that's the same scenario happening, in a lot of places. But in India at the time, needed, defense was a real issue. Technology was kind of needed, right, because of aggression of China and Pakistan like that. So obviously they needed technology and weapons. West declines. Of course, they're going to find the next thing, and this is going to be Russia.
Itself and China settled their own disputes over their common border, which in turn pulled Pakistan away from the West. Since due to the increased trade, they'd gotten more from Beijing than they ever had from Washington or London, which completely changed the balance of power in the region. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons, James Bizanet, Mr. Wolf, Kelly.
Alright, that's it. Yeah, okay. Damn, this is a pretty short video. I mean, I'm seeing it on all of his videos are like 4 minutes, under 4 minutes. So all of these are, under 4 minutes type of documentaries, huh? That is interesting. I mean, when you see that small number, you're like, it's just 4 minutes, but that takes skill, right? Explaining any historical event in a very small time is a hard thing to pull off and not make mistakes or forgetting something here and there. But I like how he just does that with some comedy here and there. That still, I'm not getting that image out of my head. Gandhi coming with a nuke like that. Damn. Yeah. Alright, people. That was why did China invade India in 1962? That was the reason, apparently. Alright. I knew that, this was a war, right? I heard of it, but never really read up on it, right? Wasn't paying much attention in history lessons or whatever when I was a kid about this, at least. So yeah. Alright. I guess I'll see you next time.